My rabbit hole with Tere Joyce. I had 4 people, but then I guess I didn't have a camera on long enough, so they just kind of disappeared. So hopefully they'll come back. I do appreciate you guys that are here tonight. I also want to announce that let me just take this off here, the screen share. I also want to announce that my channel has gotten over 1,000 views. I got notification recently that this channel got over 1,000 views. So if you are new to my channel, I noticed that just over the last few days, I've had a few new subscribers join. And I'd like to definitely welcome you to my channel and thank you for subscribing. If this is the first time that you're seeing my channel, please do take a moment to hit the subscribe button. And if you do like my content, please do share it with your friends. I realized that I haven't been here for a couple of weeks since I did my last podcast. That is because I did start school, and I wanted to take a moment about going back to school and what it was like, and also just kind of discuss things that I'm noticing that's going on with the school that has to do with current events, and just kind of that perspective. Also, I won't go into too much before I start the Instagram, because I want to do mainly a 30-minute kind of rant about school, but then I'm going to go into more detail as well that's going to be pertaining to our community. The reason why I want to talk about this, because I've been learning something called media literacy. And for those of you who are new, have been part of my channel for a long time, I started this channel. I have been on different online radio shows that dealt with people that people would want to label as maybe being conspiracy oriented or about UFO disclosure, just kind of stations that went into talking about things that maybe the mainstream media wasn't talking about. And as my evolution into that media, it became fake news, and it seemed like Alex Jones was one of the main leaders of it, and he was hung out to dry by the mainstream media about a lot of things that he was sharing. Of course, we have the birth of QAnon happened in this media, and I've seen all these things developing, and having been a person that worked in the mainstream media, not as a journalist, not as a radio show host, although I had done mainstream radio either as a guest, or I did bits or comedy bits and things like this, but not where I was, talking for 2 hours or interviewing people and, talking about things that were happening currently in the United States at that time. Now, some of the things that I did discuss back then, I ended up getting penalized on my old channel. I had some of my social media, I'd say, actually, I had my So Classic. Thank you, Rudy Roo. It is a really it's a classic song. I had so much of my social media just deleted by Facebook. I did lose one Facebook account. There were reasons why that happened, and I believe it was because of that I had a proximity to QAnon and the people involved with QAnon. So even though I don't consider myself to be a QAnon person, all right, but I was being an admin to some of the groups at that time when it first developed. Wow, I just feel like I must be really tanking tonight, because now I'm just down to one person watching me. It's funny. Normally I have more people here when I do my podcast. So anyway, I guess, like, I don't know, maybe this media, this group of people, maybe in some ways we don't want to be educated on media literacy or held accountable for the things that we do. So I'm just going to wait a little bit longer to see if some more people join tonight before I actually really get into the full podcast going on, because I was going to go on Instagram, and I was also going to go on here too as well. So I guess what a couple of things that I want to address too before I go in, because I know that this is probably going to be seen later on. So if it's not, if there's nobody here live to speak to me in the chat while I'm talking, I know that this will be viewed later, and hopefully I will hear some of your comments in the chat here. So I realize that now there was somebody else here. So welcome to the show. Yeah, I titled this originally about media literacy, because it's something that I'm learning in school itself anyways. But because of that, it really made me think about this particular media. You might have noticed that I did upload a few things that were school related. In my journalism class, we had the option of doing a video and introducing ourselves. I had that video up for like 4 minutes, but I accidentally doxed myself, so I put it on unlisted. There's another video that some of you did look at. It was an assignment about who was your hero when you were growing up, and it just so happened that my hero was Mary Tyler Moore from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And again, when you talk about how our media, because actually our media defines our culture. It defines who we are as people. Communication is about us, like, either refining or learning or expanding who we are, how we think, and how we are evolving. And the mass media is basically it's the cultural storytellers that perpetuate our reality. And to think about that was absolutely mind-blowing for me. It really was. And I really felt that anyways. So like when we're watching films, when we're watching television, when we're watching cartoons, we are really getting our mind expanded. And we're also, like people say, we're getting programmed, because the television companies, or the media, not the television companies, but the media that we're consuming is pretty much in a way dictating how we are to be thinking right now. I would even go so far that commercials do that. Like, are the commercials actually teaching or pushing culture to think a certain way, society to think a certain way? And when I talk about society, we're talking about the dominant society, meaning the mainstream society. And then you have, different subcultures of people around that. Like, for instance, you could call our media, you can call the, like the Basis Project, because I don't even want to say that. I mean, I know I've been a part of the media, but at the same time, I feel like I pulled away from it, and I've used, I guess, what you might call media literacy to really examine the things that people are saying. Like, you can't just say, or you shouldn't just say, that everything, because it's on CNN, that it is verbatim the truth, right? I mean, I think that's or Fox News. Let's not just keep it a right-left paradigm. Let's just talk about all news sources. Now my teacher is saying that, I mean, he was worked in print journalism, and he was saying that a lot of times the journalists will not necessarily have their facts correct, because they're just looking to do for a deadline, or they're looking for something to sensationalize. so that they can get the story out there. And so how much of what we tune into on the news is actually, the facts are authentic, the things that we think are going on are really real. How much is that really real, right? And one of the things that I learned was the importance that if you are a media or you are a content provider, like I am right now on this YouTube channel, it's really important to take responsibility and have integrity, but behind the things that we're saying here. Shouldn't we? And I think that we should be thinking that anytime we sit here and we go, well, I think this is true, or I think this is what is happening, or based on this evidence and that evidence and blank, 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 we can conclude that possibly this is going on. For example, when I uploaded another show, because the last show that I did some stuff on Miles Johnston from the Basis Project. And you know that Miles Johnston has released information to certain individuals. Either he's emailed them from LinkedIn or he's emailed them personally, where he's said that he was arrested for rape. He was arrested for rape. And, according to him, it was a honeypot that he was seduced and something happened, right, where he was seduced into it. And so it really wasn't his fault. She was just a drunk woman. He was just dropping her off. And that's his story of what happened. Now, when he did his show, right, when he went on his channel, or the one channel that he has left still, and admitted to something happening and saying that his channel went down, he also talked about how, he needed money. He asked for donations. He said, I need money to bring all this other content, to get it back up on a new channel, or it was kind of muddled, like bringing up on a new channel, or possibly, you can have a DVD of my past work and the past work of the Basis Project, kind of in a way circling around from the real topic of what he's talking about. And that's a tactic. It's called red herring. I learned that in my English critical thinking class. When you take a topic or somebody asks you a question and then you divert it onto another topic, that is what you call red herring. There's a point where when the one interview that I really ever did of Miles Johnston was, I asked him a question, and I believe it was related to Max Spears, and he diverted the conversation to John Irwin, and then gave a whole story about John Irwin and black goo and things like this. But have we ever really, I don't know, have we ever really questioned, what black goo really is? I mean, have you ever heard about black goo other than from the Basis Project or maybe Carrie Cassidy? And why isn't anybody talking about black goo anymore? I wonder about that. Like, do we even understand what is black goo? Did it have something to do with, like, it's some sort of goo with technology? And also, I want to throw this out there. Does anybody remember the tall white alien? Remember him? Oh, the tall white alien. Oh, God, don't do that. You'll look like Bruce Valanche. I actually had somebody make a comment that I looked like Bruce Valanche on my video that I did for my instructor. MK, I know who you are and I know who you belong to. It was kind of funny to me, actually. I thought, gee, people, you don't have to insult Bruce Valanche for comparing him to me, actually. But anyway, so I want to go on. I agree. We're getting about 9 people here. Okay, cool. That's very cool. Anybody have any questions? You want to raise your hand? Do you have any questions about what I'm saying about media literacy and how we need to be held accountable, how I need to be held accountable. That when I talk to you, that I source the things that I'm talking about. That you may not agree with me. You may not agree with my point of view, or you may not agree with what I think is going on. But at least I'm going to sit here and tell you what I think I see, and back it up with, or ask questions that I think really should be asked of some of these people. For example, all right, I just want to make mention that Sean Atwood, now you can see the interview now. I don't think he re-uploaded it. Maybe he just had it on private for a while. Maybe he did re-upload it. But the interview with Tahinder Gill and Sandra DeRoy is up on his channel still. I mean, back up again. That interview's back up. And I, had a pretty big blowout with Taj, right? I don't know if you know this, Tahinder Gill, because I asked a question. I asked a question after observing the two different narratives. So if we're being an investigator, if we're talking about two different narratives about what's going on surrounding the death of Max Spears, the mystery of Max Spears, the mystery of what happened to him being covered by the BBC, right? I mean, do you ever wonder how somebody from this community ended up being of interest by the BBC, and why was there an interest of him by the BBC? Like, where was the connection of what happened in our world, this online media? And by the way, I'm learning that because of the fact that there's almost a zero cost point now for, people to actually do their own shows, that now we have people who are not part of, being hired by by companies, being hired by the mainstream media or the media that owns the major outlet, can just sit here and talk about something. And that's changed the whole landscape of information. I learned that the average American, and this is America. I don't know what's happening in the UK or other parts of the world, but the average American consumes of their day. They have 60 to 77% of their day is being influenced by our mass communication. Either we're listening to music, we're listening to a radio show. Some of you right here are Taj and Sarah, I'm looking at this. Taj and Sarah, which and double equals double. KB, Taj. Is that the barf? That's the barf symbol. Okay, yeah, all right. I can see that you're not a fan. You're not a fan of Taj's. Taj is an interesting character. I think maybe I should do a show on Taj alone, because Taj really is an IT guy who worked alongside Miles Johnston, who, when Max died, broke off with Sarah Rachel Adams, and started the narrative about the circumstances surrounding his death. I was going to go on Instagram and do that 30-minute podcast, but I just got right into talking about this. So maybe I'll just take this footage and upload it to my Not My Rabbit Hole show. We'll see. I'm kind of going, because the part that's going to go on Anchor. Because again, I'm talking about things that are of like another media that the dominant culture doesn't really know about. Now, the dominant culture, which would be like the mainstream culture, got a taste of who Max Spears was by the BBC, and then doing a special interest story. And, they just kind of covered the suspicious circumstances of what is going on. We had a mass media. I'm just using this as an example. We had a mass media, the Daily Mail and all the different articles that ran and that were online that were written about it. And some of it had to do with, Sarah being his fiance and them getting married, and that, he was, maybe murdered by Satanists, and, all these different cult people wanted him dead, all these kind of things that are out there. That, do we consider that to be like Inquirer or Rag Magazine, or is it like a lower level of like almost tabloid kind of material? It could be. I mean, some like what do you guys think about the Daily Mail? I mean, I know that the Daily Mail says a lot of things, but the Daily Mail has also written some articles that are kind of off. I guess I'm wanting to share with you, because I'm learning things as I'm sitting here, as being a part of a media person. I am learning things that I think are as I'm evolving in my own education, because I didn't know this. I'm taking, basically, it's a mass communication class. Like it's a journalism class. I'm not really learning a whole lot about writing journalism, or presenting it more about what it is. What is our media? What does our media do to us? And even as a consumer, we do have an obligation to actually really evaluate the things that people are saying. Like you should be evaluating what I'm saying. You should be thinking about like what I'm telling you. Not like, I'm not sitting here like expecting you to just, agree with everything that I'm saying. And I certainly hope that if you don't agree with what I'm saying, that you're sharing it here so I can see it, because maybe something that you say is going to change the way I think too, because we're all kind of in search for our own. I feel that when I came to this media, or when I became a host on Revolution Radio, and we called ourselves the Truth Media, that I was a person that was trying to find out what the truth was, because I felt that my media, that was the mainstream media, had failed me. And one of the reasons why I felt that it had failed me was because of the fact that I had participated way back when in Occupy. And I don't know if everybody here remembers Occupy, because now I realize it's been like 10, 12 years, but there was a time where it happened in Wall Street, where a group of people protested in New York at there was this park that they occupied it, and they came up with the term 1%. That 1% of our society has the wealth of the world. I mean, that's when we realized that that there was a hierarchy happening here, and it involved money, and that's how we got the term Occupy. But the media wasn't wanting to say that that's what it was. Like, I was reading things like, well, we don't know why they're out there. Oh, they're just a bunch of degenerates. They're like crapping on the lawn, and they're doing drugs and heroin, and there's just a bunch of homeless people. Like, it used to be, before the recent protests and everything that's happened over the last 4 years. It used to be that when you protested something, that you were automatically some sort of degenerate or a hippie. I mean, that is the way the mainstream media, or maybe we could even call it, if you want to call it, the right or conservatives or whatever, they were always like, well, why don't you just get a job? How come you can't fight for your country? What's wrong with you? There was this kind of thing that was again, when you talk about media being the culture, or creating the culture, or creating values in people, They're always trying to create values in us, and it comes from, you know, television. It comes from art. Like, for example, I mentioned Mary Tyler Moore. Mary Tyler Moore came at a time. That show came at a time where she was a television producer. She came out at a time where women were being urged to be independent, go get a work, get a job. You can hold the positions that men have. That was a cultural shift that happened in the United States or happened worldwide, and it changed us. So what is it? Does the chicken become before the egg, or does the egg come before the chicken? Like, who are the thought people behind that is generating or creating or even programming where our culture is going to go? Like, who's behind that? Now, when I ask those questions, you know, I sound like I'm, you know, that I'm just some sort of, you know, conspiracy theorist, right? For some people. But if you're really thinking about it, I think that's a good question. Okay, so I veered off of the whole Taj Sarah thing. So you guys are talking. KB says Taj and Sarah making money equals double barf barf is what my emoji message meant. Thank you for clarifying that, because that's something else that that can get misconstrued, because this is social media. This is like, you guys, I mean, this isn't like YouTube necessarily is the social media, but you guys commenting right now is kind of rare, because usually in media you have a delayed response in what you say. But right now I can see this. But when you make your first comment with the bar face, you know, I could have like thought it meant anything until you clarify, because, you know, symbols that we have here, the barf sign is one of our symbols that we use for communication of something. And then what you say, but each one of us can perceive what someone says. Like, my problem, I realize this is my weakness in media literacy, is I think that everybody understands what I intended. Like, whatever I wrote, I think you understand it. But that is not necessarily the case. So it's important to clarify those things. All right, so LOL, you blocked everyone who questioned Atwood. No, I did not block everyone who questioned Atwood. I blocked people who insulted me first before they questioned Atwood. I blocked people that didn't have anything interesting to say other than being rude and disgraceful. And that's something that you guys should actually keep yourself in check over. It's not good just to be hostile. It's, you don't make a point when you say, oh, she's ugly, or oh, she looks like Bruce Valanche, or oh, what is that drag queen sitting there, talking? Like, referring me to being a man and then trying to make your point is not a solid argument to your point. All right? If you make an opinion that was half his age, you blocked anyone who questioned how creepy it is that made that he. Okay, so he did not do those things, though. He did not do those things. Your media. What happened? This is the perfect example. This is the perfect example of media online spreading a lie. There is no proof. The proof is that Sean Atwood made that video to prank Andrew Gein. Now, Andrew Gein and Sean have done a show about this. Andrew Gein and Sean have done a show about this, and they pointed out, and guess whose channel went down? WIT went down. All right, why did WIT go down? Why are these channels going down? Because their content is only about these people, and it's only to bash those people. And apparently there was something that was offensive towards Andrew Gein and Andrew Gein's sexuality that YouTube doesn't tolerate. All right, so you're making an argument here I'm a random person. IDK, you know what? You're talking about stuff on my channel. You're talking about like you've known things in the past, and you're making comments here as if they're true, and they're not, and they've already been proven. They've already been shown that he was not making pornography with that young woman. We already know what happened behind it. It's already a done story. So for you to sit here and claim something like that, you better have a better argument than just saying here in my chat that that's what it is. Okay? No, things in the past, why don't you actually read all of the people's messages so you could understand them? Why don't you treat me with some respect on my own show? Right? Your attitude here, I'm reading what you're saying. I don't have to put every single thing that you say in my chat on my window, but I can address, I'm not media online. No, you're not media online. You're someone commenting here, but your argument is weak. Your argument is weak. You don't have an argument. You are wasting my time. Why are you wasting my time? Because you're claiming things and accusing me of things, which is called the straw man, all right? You're saying things and accusing me of things that I'm not guilty of. Number one. Number two is you're sitting here making claims that have already been proven. They've already been proven. So for you to sit here and keep saying that he did this and he did that and he did this, then that makes you just a troll because you really don't have an argument. Now, if I want to quiet you in my chat, I can quiet you in my chat if I feel that you're hashing something that's not worth my time to talk about on my show anymore. I can report you. I can report your comment if you were derogatory or insulting to my character as a person. If you are rude or derogatory and insulting to anybody else who comments on my channel, I can block you. I have the right to block you. And that is not making a literate argument. If you want to make an argument, go ahead. Why do you think that he's guilty still? When obviously he's done a video explaining about what was behind it. Obviously, Andrew Gein and he have come to an agreement with one another. And obviously the channels that were still spewing these lies don't have a channel anymore. So what is your argument against what I just said right now? IDK. IDK, I'm not saying you are derogative, but you have a hostile, accusatory attitude towards me in my chat. I'm going to let that slide, but people who have been doing what you just started this conversation with, I block people who talk about it. No, I block people who insult me. Have I blocked you yet? No, I have not. But my argument was, you said in the chat that I block people who talk about this, and that is not true. I block people who are insulting to me and others and who violate YouTube's guidelines. And what are you doing here? Like, what brought you here? Like, did you just tune in because I was going to talk about the UFO community? What part of the title of my show activated you? Like, did you want to, like, because I basically, first I titled the show Media Literacy. I wanted to talk about it, how it applied to my school. And then I said, well, you know what? The UFO community really played into part of my school. And I'm going to like use that as an example. But there was nowhere in my title that had anything to do with Sean Atwood. Nothing. So what are you doing here, IDK? What are you doing here? I used to like your channel, really? Because this is the first time I've seen you here. I'm a human being with thoughts who is allowed to say it. You used to like my channel. How do I know that? What part of my channel did you like before? I'm not putting you down, IDK, but you started the conversation saying that I shut down people who wanted to talk about what Sean Atwood did. And that is not true. I shut down people that insulted me, right? And many of you, and I'm not saying you, IDK, but you smell like it a little bit. Many of you are connected with a group of people who have already been harassing me on my other channel. Your presence here is not friendly. Your presence on my channel in my chat is not friendly. So what is your argument? Do you have an argument other than the fact that I'm not allowing you to have an argument? What is your argument? And really, just put it here. Be constructive. Why do you think Sean Atwood is guilty? And what proof do you have that supports what you say? Can you do that right now in the chat? IDK? I'm not connected to anyone? Okay, good. Now, can you say why you're here? Like, what is it that you really want to say here tonight? Why do you think Sean Atwood is guilty of Daddygate? Why is it? What's your argument? I'm waiting. I'm waiting. You know, maybe I'll even like play a little song here. Okay. You said because the girl said it was real. There are photos of them making out. He's talking to her sexually in lingerie, etc. And that was part of the game. When you watch the video, have you watched it? Have you watched Sean Atwood's video about how he did the prank? Have you watched the video where she admits that she was part of the prank? Like, she was not a victim in this. Did you watch that video, or is that just complete? Just you're focusing on, you're still focusing on the lie. Why did they make that video? Why did Sean Atwood make that video explaining the prank? Whether that's a prank or not, I think that's creepy for a 55-year-old man to do with the 25-year-old woman he's interviewed about being sex trafficked. Okay, that's an opinion. That's not a fact. That's your opinion. But that's not a fact about what happened. That's an opinion. I appreciate your opinion. Okay, but that doesn't mean that he's guilty of what you're accusing him of. That's a fact, right? Okay, so let me get back to Taj and Sarah. Because it's not that I don't want to address you. I mean, I sympathize with you. I mean, yeah, it's creepy to think about a 55-year-old man with a 25-year-old man, but trust me, it happens all the time. Have you ever been to Hollywood before? All right, that 55-year-old is driving around in a cherry car, and the girl's like, yeah, some people that are younger sometimes have a good relationship with older people. It can happen. A 25-year-old is not an underage person. A 25-year-old is 5 years away from being 30. I'm not saying I'm justifying it, but you're not looking at anything criminal happening here. All right. And let's face it, even if Sean Atwood, let's just say theoretically, even if he was doing porn or he was involved with something online, it's still not illegal, and he's still not taking advantage of anybody. Now, it would make him be like, it would make his story of what he's investigating, it would take the reality out of it, because it would make him look like he was a participant of it. But it still doesn't mean that he's doing anything wrong. Now, there was arguments that, he used people's monies and he misappropriated donations and this and that, blah, 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 blah. But there still aren't really true facts that happened from anybody who's accusing it either. And that is why people's channels get shut down. Like, for example, when I was talking about Miles Johnston, and I did the other video, I didn't sit there in my video and said, oh, well, Miles Johnston is guilty of raping somebody, because I don't know that for sure. What I can report on is that Miles Johnston had sent out different emails claiming that he had been arrested, claiming that they were maybe going to be taking his computers and this and that for examination, claiming that they were going to take his mobile device. But that didn't mean that Miles Johnston was guilty. Like, a person isn't guilty until they've actually, gone to trial and they've been, tried by a jury maybe, or whatever. You have to have more evidence to make somebody guilty than that. You can say, well, this incident happened. Did it really happen? I don't know. Is he making it up? Is Miles Johnston making it up so that he can get donations? I don't know that for sure. But nobody's been able to verify that he was actually arrested yet from the Melksham Police Department. I think it's called Melksham, right? Nobody has confirmation from the police department that he actually was in a cell there. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because they don't, like in the UK, they don't give out who's gone to jail, or they don't release those records, or those aren't as easy to find. But I would like to know that for sure, because to be honest with you, I suspect that some of the people in this media may actually even act like they're victims of something just to get donations. I mean, think about it. And I'm not saying this is what he's doing. All right. I'm just theorizing something. But he lost his channel. Now, was his channel monetized? Because with all the videos that he had over those years, he may have been making a pretty decent revenue from Google's AdSense. Now he has his new channel, which is, not doing as well. As a matter of fact, even his video talking about being arrested, it only, like last time I looked, it only had, 1.5K views on it. So how many people even saw it? So obviously he's taking a chunk. Obviously he's asking for donations. Obviously he's saying, I need money to help me re-upload videos. You don't really need money to re-upload videos. All right. You don't. It's going to take you a lot of time. It's a pain in the ass. It's going to slow you down. It's a problem. But really, I paid $25 a month to use to have premium StreamYard. You got to pay for your internet. You got to pay for your computers. You got to pay for your whatever you're saving your content on. Or it looks like if you look at his like that picture that I had, that thumbnail on the video I cut from my last show about him. It looks like he's got all this computer equipment. He comes from, the mainstream. He knows how to edit. He knows production. He knows all that stuff. Miles Johnston knows what he's doing with production. he's got but bottom line is that you can learn how to edit on an app. Like I have, I'm not professional. I like to be professional. I like to, learn the software that the professional people use. But there's a way to bring creative content. The more you learn, the better content, you can give to people. Okay. So what, so is it true? Is it not true? Was he arrested or did not? Well, that remains to be seen. But what I did do was I read things from his own website about other accusations from people, things that were on his computer, like pornography being witnessed, other accusations from people that had known him that he put on his own site. And then also what Joanne Summerscale said when she worked with him on the MOSH program. Those things were on his site already. Now, you can decide what you want from those things. You can decide what you want, right? But I, as a person that's giving that content, I'm not going to say that I know he's guilty. But it's also there for us to review what's going on. And I think that, maybe we should think about these things. Like, think about what these people have been saying to us. And why did we want to follow it? Well, I'll tell you why I wanted to follow it. Because I think all of us have somewhere the basic need. It's like Frankenstein. It's like we want to know who our creator is. We want to know why this reality exists. We maybe have an interest in, MK Ultra programming, or, people like Max Spears talking about being in a program, his connection to his father being in Hollywood, the link of Hollywood and what's going on. Because, again, Hollywood is creating our culture. And the celebrities that come out and talk to us, telling us what to do and how we should think and how we should vote, or how we should go ahead and do whatever they tell us to do, they are in those positions for a reason. And I'm just saying that hopefully, and there are people that I listen to that I think are out there thinking, like, for example, Steve Camion on Truth Seekers. I like his show. I like him investigating this community. I like Kevin Moore. I like the fact that Kevin Moore is investigating and asking hard questions about Carrie Cassidy and Captain Mark Richards and that whole story there and other things that are going on in this community. And I think that I'm doing my own share of that too. I also feel that in the past I had other opinions, or I may have been more naive and not as discriminatory on the content that I was being told. But I think that there's a lot of us in this community too that we've all done the same thing. And maybe we're just kind of waking up and going, oh my God, what's going on here? Like, who are these people really? Like, what is really behind this other media that we've been involved in? I full on think that, people are psychic. I full on believe that they're, I know for sure, like, just watch the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats, and that the military had used psychics before, or they're using things, or they maybe know things about physics or possibilities that the average person is not allowed to have that information, right? But there's also, if you watch some of these guys, and especially Miles Johnston, some of the people that he has on his show act like whack jobs. I hate to say it, but looking at them, you're like, oh my God. Like, for example, Durwood Mahone, running around and doing the knife and talking about the sacrifice in Mexico and all that kind of stuff. That's weird. I mean, I think it's weird. What is the point of it? Like, what's really behind this? It's almost like Miles Johnston doesn't use discernment or discretion in his guests either. Like, how well does he vet the people that he has on his show? How well does, Carrie Cassidy, vet the people that she interviews, and why don't they have channels on YouTube anymore? You know, I mean, like, there are people that I think have their channel taken down because of the fact that they have their channel taken down because of the fact that, you know, they're talking about things that YouTube is not allowing anymore, right? And those things, like, if you are not talking about vaccinations, you know, underneath what the CDC or the WHO is saying, or, you know, the fact checkers, then you can have your channel taken down. You can. Right? You know, if you are talking about false flags, whether you believe them to be real or not, whether you agree with the CDC or not, it doesn't matter. They're going to take your channel down. If you are talking about anything that has to do with Donald Trump, right, or anything that has to do with, oh, he's going to be going back into office, or anything like that, regardless of what you really think about the election, you are at risk of having your channel being taken down, or you're going to get a community guideline strike. And now, if you actually, hi, Art of Moran. Hi, it's good to see you here. You made it. Good to see you. You know, if you do talk about these things, you know, you can get your channel shut down. Stuart Swerdlow got his channel taken down off of YouTube. James Rink has been, you know, having to dump a bunch of things, but he's still up and still getting strikes. Why is it that this particular media, a lot of the people weren't, to me, they weren't originally conservative. They weren't originally going on the right-wing side, but they ended up doing it, and they ended up perpetuating those things. Why is it that, you know, Simon Says, right, is, you know, still perpetuating this stuff? Why is it that they are, you know, buying Indian and Asian cooking channels in order to do this information? I don't know if that's still up or not. I haven't noticed them, but they did lately. Anyway, so I guess I should maybe try. I might take a break here and then just do the thing with Instagram and do the podcast, so I can get a podcast recording and put it up on Anchor, because that was like one of the things. But I went off on this rant about you know, our community right away. Well, I was waiting for people to come on, and then IDK came here. Okay, so IDK made another comment, and I'm going to share that. IDK wanted to talk about the Sean Atwood situation, and also IDK said that I shut down anybody who had a different opinion about it other than what I thought. And I said that I shut down people who insulted me or didn't have a real strong argument. So I'm taking, you know, I want to put what IDK said again. So, but she is a vulnerable person who acts like she's about 12. I'm not saying it's criminal. I'm saying it's morally reprehensible, and I'm disappointed you defend that. See, now that's your opinion, that she's about 12. I don't see her that way. She's autistic, but her autism is not a regressive situation where her mind's like a little girl. I don't think her mind's like a little girl. Again, that is an opinion. That's not a fact. She's still 25 years old. She was still working in the adult business. And, you know, and you know, I've looked at the videos. I've watched other videos on her own channel. She's well-spoken. She knows what she's doing. She's not, doesn't act like a 12-year-old. I disagree. And again, IDK, you're still giving an opinion, not a fact. You're still giving an opinion. Bodega Variety says, I'm moving over to TV, still here, but not in chat. It's dinner time here. Okay. Well, great. I mean, I'm glad to, you know, you don't have to, you know, but I appreciate you being here, and I hope you're having a good dinner. What are you eating tonight? Just out of curiosity. All right, I'm gonna do I'm gonna add the people on Instagram, and I actually did like a little, I did a little bullet point of some things that I want to talk that I'm just going to clip for the podcast. Hopefully you'll stay here. After I get done, I want to show you, actually, let me pull something up here because this is going to be part of the discussion on the YouTube video. I watched a South Park clip of a cartoon, and I can't play it, but I want to talk about it. And within the video, it has within the video, it has the dialogue that I'm going to read it to you. And so I want to get that prepared. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and share the screenshot of this so you guys can look at it, and it'll just be set while we're going. I can't play it because I'm probably going to get a copyright strike on it, but at least I want to have it there to make the point that I'm doing. And then I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to pull up one more thing. I did do a journalism paper. And by the way, I got 48 out of 5 points on it. And okay. And believe it or not, I actually wrote about Miles Johnston and okay, so I actually wrote about Miles Johnston and Simon Says in my paper. And so therefore I wanted to share that with you, that actually my media consumption was about what was going on with Miles Johnston. So how it actually made my work. Okay, so I want to talk about that too. So hopefully you'll stay with me here. Okay, so I think morals are important. You can say morals are an opinion. I guess but they still matter. I say morals are important. But you're throwing morality in your argument here. Like, are you saying that I'm not a moral person because I don't see her as being a 12-year-old? That is a matter of perception, not morality. And when I talk about morality, I also mean integrity about what we're talking about. You're still giving me opinions. I'm giving you my opinion about it. But the fact of the matter is, we have footage of Sean Atwood explaining that it was a prank to Andrew Gein. Andrew Gein took that information because Andrew Gein was already starting rumors. So Sean Atwood made a video as a prank, all right, showed how he did the prank, how she was involved. She seemed in the video that she was completely aware of what she's doing. And yet your only argument is, and a lot of you guys who do argue this, your only argument is that she was autistic and he was taking advantage of somebody who had the mind of a 12-year-old. But you have no proof of that. That is like, really, that's not even that. Where is it? Because I don't see that in her. I don't see that happening. So I find your argument to be weak based on the fact that we already know this story. We already know what the truth is. And Andrew Gein and Sean Atwood have come together to talk about how this media, a portion of the online media, when you do a video, Hoaxstead, you do this all the time. You have these little channels that go up, Trouser Mouse or whatever, and the people that you hit are the same characters all the time. APD, Brian Harvey, what is that other guy? John Welch or John, all of the people who talk about the stuff that you can't say anymore on YouTube, those people you do your videos on geared to bring them down. People did videos just to bring Sean Atwood down. and every single thing that they did was about Sean Atwood. That is called cyberbullying. That falls under cyberbullying and harassment. If your entire channel is focused on dispelling lies or stories about an individual without bringing up facts, without sourcing your material, by taking things, cutting them, and then framing a whole nother thing around it, you can't, that is not journalism. That is not telling the truth. That is not telling the whole story. If you're taking clips from Sean Atwood's prank video and saying that this is true, when in fact later on you find out that it was a prank, then it's no longer true anymore. And, you can say, well, you didn't like what he did, or he's 55 years old and it's gross, or, whatever. But no matter what you're saying, it's still an opinion and not a fact. And then a lot of you end up insulting the person who is disseminating the information. And you think that that's a way to win your argument. Or you think that because you insulted that person so somebody reads the comment, or you discredited their character, that gives you leverage, that what you say because you did that makes it true. It doesn't. And you should be held accountable for being emotional and reactive in your responses to the media that you're viewing. Because that falls under media literacy too. Okay, so I have this on hold here because that's going to come into play. We're going to start the Instagram, and I'm going to go, hey, welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole, the podcast. I'm going to go with this on some stuff that I have bullet pointed here. And this is going to come into play as part of this. And I have my paper to read too. So this is going to be fun. So let's see what happens here. Just checking for a connection. Welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole with Tere Joyce on Instagram and also on YouTube. I'm actually simulcasting these two shows here. And I wanted to talk about what it was like to go back to college and what my first 2 weeks has happened. Hi, I Be the Man and Dark Hippie. Thank you for being here on Instagram. And also, I have got some friends here on my YouTube channel as well. I'm simulcasting this. Okay, so I went back to college, right? And I went back to learn a few things. I've been working in online media, and I've been doing shows on YouTube. And I had, some people, call me a journalist, and I said, no, I'm not a journalist. I'm just a comedian. Because I didn't want to take that responsibility, really. It's like, oh yeah, I've been looking into things, I've been talking about them, and maybe I'm not as funny about them or whatever. But I'm not a journalist. And then I thought, well, what would it be like to actually get a degree in journalism? Like, what would that be like? All right. First of all, I want to say that when I did go back to school, for some reason, everybody looked really tiny to me. Like even the athletes, I'm like, really, are they that small? Like, it seems like when people are in their 20s and stuff like that, they're really skinny and everything. I don't know. It was a weird perception. I thought everybody looked a little bit smaller than usual. Why can't news be funny? Why can't news be funny? And you know what? News is funny. That is a crossover genre, actually, I've learned. That like when it's like Jon Stewart, Jon Stewart's funny, but more people believed in what Jon Stewart was saying because he made it funny. And in my critical thinking class, my teacher says, by the way, my teacher's name is Lee Herrick, and he's a laureate. He's a poet laureate. And has published like 3 books of poems. I really love him. I mean, he's a great, I mean, I really love him. Like, I love him. But I really like his class. And so what was my thought here? Why can't we, he said that comedy is very powerful, because if you make something funny, people will accept it and believe it, even if it's not good. And so, using comedy and then telling the news is powerful. I mean, like the Daily Show now, it's always been that kind of a news format. Okay, so they took a few notes on things. First of all, I kind of want to brag a little bit. I do want to brag a little bit. I'm taking a screenwriting class, and it's making me think that I did change my major to journalism, but I might actually change my major to film. And, because I didn't realize that where I'm going has a good film department. And when I was reading about screenwriting, when you write your screenplay and you get it sold to Hollywood, they can take your script and do whatever they want with it. So like what you wrote may be completely changed. And you would have no power over it. You'd have the money, but your vision of what you're trying to say can be altered. And I thought, well, and the only way to actually make sure that your screenplay is done the way you see it, then you have to become a director. So I started thinking, And, now that media does not cost as much anymore, we can, you can literally shoot something on a cell phone maybe, and even and I mean, not saying that you would want to, but you could do something really inexpensive and then enter it into the film festivals and stuff like that. So here's the deal. I pitched 4 script ideas, and we had to learn a log line, meaning that you got to write your script idea in 1 line. It has to be irony. And I happen to have 4 different ideas that I've been playing with. Some of it's based on a true story. 2 of them are kind of based on a true story. Okay, so anyways, I pitched them, and he liked every single one of them. He said every single one of my ideas was viable. And that just really blew me away. I was like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? It's like, wow, and so he wants me to work on 2 of them and start to beef them out. And by the end of the semester, we're going to be writing we'll have it drafted, and we'll write our first act. So that's something that I was excited about. Also, I was asked to audition for a school production. He's a playwright. His name is Chuck Irvin. He wrote some plays, and of course he's written, screenplays, but he's had plays produced. And so he has a group of colleagues that have written monologues. And so he asked me if I would want to do one of the monologues. And so, but I have to audition still, right? But I did get asked. And so I'm going to audition. The rehearsals will be done by Zoom, I guess, with the person who actually writes the monologue. And the performances they're hoping that they'll be live, but bearing on COVID-19, it might be actually just filmed. So that was exciting. So I was excited about that. Now, I did put a few things that I hear I'm cheating. I'm looking at my bullet points here. But forgive me. All right. So let me see. Screenplay Herrick. Okay. All right. So here's something I want to talk about for a moment. I want to talk about the requirements that that we have in order to go back to school during COVID-19. Now, the state colleges are now requiring people to be vaccinated in order to go to class. And if you don't, but you can still get a medical recommendation, saying that for medical reasons, you can't, be vaccinated, or you don't want to be vaccinated. And, or you can get a religious, you can have a religious exemption. I guess that's the thing. You can have like a religious exemption, or you can have a medical exemption. Okay, so if you get those two things at the state colleges once a week, you have to be tested for COVID in order to go onto the campus and go to school. Now, most of my classes are actually online, which I happen to really like, by the way. I like online, but I do go to school twice a week. And I enjoy that too, because there's something different about being in the classroom atmosphere and being able to see the instructor. Although we're all wearing masks, we have to wear masks when we're indoors. We're really supposed to wear masks on campus. Now, where I moved to, I really don't want to say where I moved to. You know what, by the way, I know you guys over here don't know who I'm talking about. Charles Unleashed. Shout out to Charles. Charles sent me an email recently. He has a channel. He's called Charles Unleashed. He's the assassin to the Illuminati. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's like a joke, right? But his channel's really funny, by the way, I think. And he does say things with humor. So I'm a fan of Charles. Charles and his bald head. Charles and your bald head. Okay. Anyways, Charles and his bald head actually ended up sending me. Sorry, I'm just being facetious. Okay, so Charles ended up actually sending me a message and saying we got doxxed. And I don't know who doxxed me or why, but I've been moving around so much right now that I beg you to find me, actually, Anyway, just throwing that out there. I'm veering off on something now. Okay. So now I want to mention that at the school that I'm going to a city college, okay? And I'm going to the same city college that I went 25 years ago or more. All right, same one. So it's kind of like going backwards in a weird way. But I love it. I can't tell you how much I really love going to school. I love learning again. I love it. I feel like, oh my God, I didn't know these things. Or it refines the things that you know, right? So now for the city college, we are required to wear masks. We aren't required to get the jab yet. But if you do get the jab, you get $250 off on your books at the bookstore, right? Now, I want to share with you, I want to read an episode or a clip of an episode of South Park, all right, about Cartman being afraid to get vaccinations and how this unfolds. And the people you guys here on Instagram, over here on my YouTube channel, I've been talking about media literacy, and I've been talking about how mass communication, or how communication, first of all, communication in general, it defines our culture. It defines, refines, it moves our culture ahead. It creates our reality. Mass communication, the films we watch, the podcasts that we listen to. I mean, even right now, we're a small homogenous group, a small targeted audience. I don't know, I'm on social media right now on Instagram, and here I'm on my YouTube channel. Even though I don't have by the way, I have to give a shout out to the fact that my YouTube channel, my new one, just broke 11,000 views. So if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, my subscriber base is, I had to start, it's a new channel, but I'm at 222 people have subscribed, and I know that some people have come recently, so I want to thank you for being here. But it's a smaller homogenized little group of people here, right? Possibly those of you who are listening to me on Instagram or who will watch this Instagram later, there's reasons why, we're communicating, right? So, but still, this topic is a big topic, and we have cartoons that are also joking. Remember I said, when you make something funny, people will believe it and accept it. And what a better way to have people accept something or believe it or have it affect them other than it being a cartoon. So I want to show you this cartoon for just a second. Let me make this bigger here. Oh, no. No, we don't want me. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna read to you guys the episode to make my point, because I can't really play it, because I don't want to lose the rights here. I don't want to get a copyright thing going on, or have because sometimes like they'll make it so this video can't even be viewed if I play something like a South Park episode. Okay, so interior shot, doctor's office, day. Cartman is in his underwear sitting on the doctor's table. Cartman, no shots, no shots. Reverse to show a doctor standing with a needle and Cartman's mom slightly behind him. Cartman's mom, Eric, you have to be a big boy. Doctor, big boys get a toy from the toy chest. So here is the insight, right? You take your vaccination and you're going to get a toy, right? Like, remember when we got our shots in school and stuff like that, we would, or whenever we went to the doctor or got our teeth looked at or worked on, we got a sucker, like we needed a sucker, but we would get a piece of candy or something. Big boys get a toy from the toy chest. The doctor steps up to Cartman and gets the needle closer to his arm. No! Cartman squeals. Doctor, Eric, it's just a little prick. Cartman laughs. The doctor moves in. Cartman, no! Cartman's mom, good boy, Eric. Cartman cries, turns into real big squeals as he thrashes around and jumps off the table. He runs around in circles around the room while the doctor tries to catch him. Okay, now he's in the principal office at school. All right. And the principal says, our school now has a very strict policy when it comes to immunizations. Everyone has to follow protocol or it puts everyone at risk. Reverse to see Cartman with his mom in chair. She has her trench coat and purse in her lap. Cartman's mom, I'm sorry, PC principal. It's just that my little Eric really doesn't like shots. PC principal, well, Eric, nobody likes shots. They're just a fact of life. Cartman's mom, no, you don't understand. I've taken him to the doctor every Friday for the past 4 years. They try to give him his shot, and he gets scared and runs around and squeals like a little pig. The doctors try to catch him, but Eric greases himself up so that they can't. Principal, I'm sorry, but my hands are tied here. If Eric isn't immunized, then he cannot go to the school. Cartman's mom's crying with a tissue. Please, I've tried everything. You have to let Eric go to school. I work all day without school. He'll just have nothing. Here's the principal. What do you think's going to be different next time you try? Cartman's mom, if you could offer Eric something, sometimes when Eric is behaving this way, I think of a gift or a treat of some kind. Cartman, oh, that's a good idea. Principal, like, what are you thinking? Cartman's mom, I don't know. Cartman, like maybe exclusive use of the tetherball pole at recess for the next 2 months? Cartman's mom, would it be possible? The principal sits there for a moment. When can most, what I care about, for the principal, I need my glasses. Principal, what I care most about is the safety of the students. So you take your shots and then all agree. Sweet. And then, I'm not going to read the rest. All right. But the bottom line is he goes to get the shots and he still runs around and screams. And that's basically it. Right. So I wanted to use this as an example because this is an example of our media educating the people with a cartoon of what to do right now culturally in our society, what to do in our society, creating our culture and creating our reality. It's coming from a cartoon. And this is not an old cartoon. This is a cartoon that was created in April of 2021. Now, I'm just bringing it up. I'm not going to share my opinion about it, right? I'm not going to do that. Or I'm not going to tell you like what I think about the topic. But I'm telling you what this cartoon is doing, and then I'm talking about what the universities are doing and everything else that's going on and the requirements. So this is a direct proof of how the media is actually trying. Is this our culture? Is this a reflection of our culture? Or is this something behind the media telling us what our culture should be? That is the question that I have here on this. All right. And one of the things that I also want to bring up, maybe I'm thinking too much and I should just, be quiet about this stuff, right? Maybe I'm just thinking too much, like, should I be thinking about this? But I think we should be thinking about this, because this is what helps us to become media literate, to think about these kind of things. Like, is this programming? Is this the way that, who is right? Okay. And another thing I want to bring up that I read about media is that non-media owns our media, like AT&T and Verizon and these companies that are not really involved with the process of creating media, but they bought out all these other companies, and that our media is controlled by conglomerates. There's less people. There's smaller groups of people in control of the larger portion of the media outflow. And so that means that there's a group of people that are basically controlling the major dialogue of where that media goes to, right? And then what else is behind that is the advertisers. And we as consumers are considered products to the advertisers, and yet we are the consumers of the mass media. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. That is something that, I did learn while in school. Now, I did write a paper, and the paper that I did write had to do with, some of the media that I've been covering here on my channel. One of the exercises that we were supposed to talk about was we were supposed to watch our own media consumption. Oh, Steve the Virgin Man joined. Hi, Steve. Are you really a virgin? No. All right. I was supposed to follow what I watched, and because I was school, the only thing that I really watched that much was what was unfolding with Miles Johnston. So I wanted to share my paper. This is the one I did well on. That I got 48 out of 50. My teacher did say that I veered off the subject a little bit, but I brought it back around again. So I just want to read what I'm sharing here. What I want to share. Oh, it's not going to show it. Wait. Funny. I can't show it to you, so I'm just going to have to read it. All right. So here we go. The first thing I do upon waking up is check the Facebook account. There are usually 10 to 15 glaring notifications before sunrise. I usually inspect with anxiety because it's highly likely I've infuriated someone with one of my posts. I either debate or attempt to do damage control over a cup of coffee. The days that I monitored my media consumption was slightly different than my usual routine before school started. I noticed on my iPad that my screen time was about 90 minutes less than typical. How did returning to college life affect what I viewed? I did not have as much time. I did not have as much time to eye-world events. For example, I learned about the ongoing Dixie Fire in California from a friend's post on Facebook. The next piece of media that I consumed was on YouTube. I had flagged a video to watch later. The video pertained to a story that I've been following and was reporting on my own YouTube channel. A UFO conspiracy YouTuber named Miles Johnston of the Basis Project had sent several emails claiming he was arrested for rape by the Melksham Police Department in the UK. Johnston alleges he was an investigative journalist who previously worked for the BBC before covering government conspiracies and reptilian aliens. Following the Miles Johnston video, I watched a video about another UFO personality named Simon Parks. Simon Parks claims he's occasionally required to mate with an alien cat queen and has alien feline hybrid children. A woman has come forward attesting that Simon Parks has a sex altar. Consequently, he asked her to smear some of his menstrual blood on one of his neckties to give it to him. You can't make this stuff up, or can you? And give it to him. Okay. In my assessment, Simon Parks' online activity needs to be closely monitored. He is a major player in continuing to spew QAnon conspiracies on YouTube. Subsequently, Parks and his bandit of disinfo agents are purchasing Asian and Indian cooking channels, crowning 350,000 subscribers. They have switched the content from how to make some tasty naan to Trump is coming back to save the day. During my 2-day observation, I noticed that I listened to a lot of music on Spotify. As a matter of fact, I'm listening to a trip hop selection as I type this sentence. At dinner time, my roommate and I have been watching the Netflix documentary series Wild Wild Country. The series is about how the guru Osho and the Rajneesh followers took over a small town in the state of Oregon. The series is an interesting study on how the Rajneesh created their own town, police, and government for the freedoms of their religious utopia. Yet later, they become a militant cult busted by the FBI. How does my media consumption differ from the average American? Most likely a bit. Most likely a lot. For one thing, I have not owned a television for the last 10 years. Occasionally, I get to watch mainstream news while visiting a friend for morning coffee. I typically find news stories from social media, Apple News, Google, YouTube, and content suggested by my friends. I also do a lot of research and Googling on my own. Another thing that sets me apart from the average American media viewer is that I am an online media content provider myself. I've been a part of a fringe media known as the truth media. However, I've discovered that a lot of online alternative media is far from disseminating factual information. It's an anarchy of false spiritual teachers, UFO secret program disclosures, and crystal-loving snake oil salesmen. I suppose the main question to ask oneself is, how far do you want to go down the rabbit hole? So I just wanted to read that because, I wanted to read it here too, because I think in a nutshell, it pretty much shows, like what I've been doing over here on YouTube, if you didn't really know of what I was involved with. And I don't know if you, because my Instagram friends are different than my friends on YouTube. A lot of you guys who have subscribed to my channel, you're here because we talk about the same things, because we are considered one of the smaller homogenous groups that are here. And we're even a more select group, because I think that now some of you that are listening to my channel, you are the ones who are waking up and realizing what's been going on in this UFO community that we have been a part of and participated in, or spiritual community, or however. Because here's the deal, when I'm talking about like watching a television show like Wild Wild Country, and you hear about how Osho, or how this religion gets spouted up, and how these people just, took over their own, made, like, because in America we feel like, well, why can't I just, create my own town? They think about Dave Koresh, like a group of people that have a collective thought that end up like occupying a certain area, and, changing the paradigm from what they live in. Well, you just can't do that. You just can't, have your own, you can't have your own police. You can't arm yourself. I mean, think about like if they had done that today in how we feel about, gun control. Today we're much more conservative about those things. And I know that a lot of people had different feelings about what happened to David Koresh and how they handled it, whether they were right to be doing what they're doing, were they really a threat? But then that's a whole nother conversation. But it's an interesting study that if you do get a chance to watch Wild Wild Country, I would, it's a good documentary, and it actually takes it from two different sides. It shows the opposing side of view, and then you get to hear the members and what they thought and what it was like for them. And it doesn't really have a judgment on really what is right and wrong, but rather it reports or it documents what happened. So it's worth watching. I'm going to have a little water here. I don't know if you guys know that there are a group of people out there, this UFO community, this media that call themselves the truth media. And it's not like I want to say that none of it was true, or that it's not, I think it's perfectly okay if you want to have a YouTube channel and you want to do commentary or research or investigate what you think is really going on in the world. But I think that if you're going to be doing those things, that we as content providers have to sit back and really source our material. And when we're making an argument, we need to show why we're making that argument. And we need to make sure that we're just not making just blank statements of what we think is fact or not fact. And I hope that if you're watching me here on Instagram or here on YouTube, or you're listening to my show on Anchor, that you or I, and we can all become more media literate and actually question and review and do our own research and our own independent thinking about what's going on. Because like when we get information, it goes from the source to the receiver, and then the media is the thing that's in between there. And if for example, I'm talking to you and I'm talking into here, and I can see Steve Ronan is laughing, right? He found something funny, and that's nice feedback, right? I can't hear you, but I can see something here. This media here, right here, I can see right away. There's some media that you can't get an immediate response. For example, when you go watch, if you were to see an episode of Walking Dead, the producers that put Walking Dead out and released it on a date doesn't know what the audience really thinks until later. So there's a later response of what's happening. I don't know if you really wanted to know that much detail, but I think that, we're tuned in. We are media. We are media consumers. And, those of you who do watch this channel or have tapped in and you're on my friends or my Instagram, or you're finding me on Anchor, a podcast is part of media. And this moment right now is actually in some very small way, maybe actually affecting our culture. And I, right now, in my own small way, am a storyteller of that culture. All right. So on that note, I will bid you adieu on my Not My Rabbit Hole podcast. And if you like to listen to me, I'm on Anchor, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Google Play. If you want to support my channel, you can do that in various ways. On Anchor, you can become a monthly sponsor. I do have one there. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/Freedom of Joyce. If you want to give me a one-time donation in support of my school studies and also my podcast and media that I'm creating, because who knows what I'm going to evolve into, you can do that at hollywoodhemptress@gmail.com. And I do thank you for your support. I have some regular supporters, and I do have sometimes one-time donations. So you know who you are, and I thank you for supporting my work and my education. And I really appreciate that. And that's it. All right. There's one more thing I was going to think about saying, but I can't remember now. So I'm going to say goodbye on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Okay. I got to download it, and I got to share it on iTV. Let's see. You know how you try to find a good face? That's a good one. All right. You know, like, you don't want to like have like you know, like the icky face. Okay, so I'm gonna post it, and then I can retitle it. Oh, title, I have to give it a title. Hold on, guys, I'm sorry. Not my rabbit hole. Okay, hold on. I know I'm kind of sweating now, huh? Okay, do you guys have any thoughts in the chat at all? I might fix it later. Okay. Oh, it's being a little bitch. There it goes. Okay. All right, so for us over here, we'll replay. Oh, Steve Roney, you just got here. Congratulations! Wow, I'm thinking maybe you're congratulating me for the ideas that I did in the screenplay writing class, or the getting the I got asked to do a part, but I gotta, you know, I'm gonna audition for the part, but you know, the play. The thing. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I had a feeling when I don't know, like as I was coming here, before I came here, I just felt, because I was an actress and I was a theater arts major at the same college. And when I went to college, I my first semester I played Laura in the Glass Menagerie, so I had a lead role in my first semester at City College, and I did other productions as well. And there's a local dinner theater that I performed at since I was like 16 and stuff. And so, you know, when they say introduce yourself and blah, 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 you know, I introduced myself and everything. And then my teacher, you know, later on after class said, would you like to do one of the monologues? And I said, well, I'd love to. So I'm looking at some monologue pieces right now. There's one that I found from the movie Beautiful Girls, and it's a speech that Rosie O'Donnell did it, but it's really funny. And so I'm thinking about, that's my first pick right now, but I'm still kind of looking over monologues. I have until September 20th to, we videotape our performance of the monologue, and then they look at us from the videotape. Oh, the log lines. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I read them right now, but I don't want to, like, you know, I'm afraid to give out my ideas at the moment. But I had the log lines, and a log line, like I said earlier in the show, is like you write one line, you know, which pitches your show, your idea, but then you want to have irony in the line, like you want to have it somewhere else. Oh, I get that. And then you pick a show title that explains, you know, the movie basically that you want to, you know, pitch, or you want to, you know, write. But yeah, I got my teacher liked every single one of them, which kind of blew me away. And then asked me to like flesh out two of them, and then eventually I'm going to pick one to do for the class. And another thing that's really exciting is that the library, and I don't have to take a jab to get it, but the library has final draft for $100. I'm like, oh, damn. Okay, I knew I wanted to go back to school just to get, you know, like final draft for $100. But now maybe they'd give it to me for free if I got the jab. Don't read them. No, I won't read them. I won't read them. I'm reading this book called Save the Cat. That's part of our class requirement. And Save the Cat, yeah. And the writer goes, oh, I just say whatever I want. I just, I don't worry about it. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, yeah. Jason America, jabba dabba do or else. Jason America, by the way, Jason America is a filmmaker too. So and Art of Moran is like, check him out, Moran Patrick on Instagram. Your art is just I'm so in love with it. I liked a bunch of things just recently. I don't know if you noticed that. And he is working on an animated cartoon. So I'm surrounded with artists all the time. I'm glad you guys are here. I love seeing you, Jason America. I miss you, Jason America. You know what, Jason America? I want you to come on my show again. I want to bring you. I want to do some stuff where there's some of us talking about things on this channel. And Jason America, when I was doing Hollywood Hemptress Hour on Time for Hemp, was a regular on Time for Hemp. And RD Chillin. Hi, RD. How is it coming off from the cult of Rambo? All right. Oh, you love to. I'd love to. Cool. Yeah, this is a lot easier because, I could just like send you like the link. I email you the link and then you just click onto it and then you'll just be like a part of it. So it'd be really great. Yeah, Jason America is a pinball wizard. No, he's a master of the pinball too as well. And Jason America, we met on Fight Church TV with Jesse Spongberg that was live streamed out of, what was the bar? I forgot the bar's name. Oh, you're doing good. Good, RD. It's good. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing good. I'm glad to hear it. All right. So another thing I wanted to share with, for those who know, Charles Unleashed had a very interesting video that I'm assuming it would be okay if I shared it, but just in case, I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay. Wait, let me go back to my chat here. No, this is the banner. I want to put the fair use banner and the ticker tape for the fair use. All right. And then, you know what? And I want to make a comment too about IDK was here earlier and arguing me about that Sean Atwood is guilty for Daddygate. And, he said, well, you just shut down people who have an opposite opinion of you. You just go ahead and block them. And I think I usually block people if they're insulting or if they start with an insult, they don't really have an argument and stuff like that. But I also kind of, like arguing a point. And so IDK's here. And I wanted IDK that they did like argue, they weren't insulting. They made their arguments. I told them that their arguments weren't really facts. They were opinions. And then I would talk about how I was giving an opinion, but I like having that dialogue. So I just want to say that IDK, I do appreciate you being here. And thank you for being respectful in your arguments. So I want to, if I'm going to be working here with you, talking to you with more media integrity, then I also want to make sure that I keep my reactions in line, whether they be when I make comments to people, I'm just not reacting to things, and that I'm actually allowing for an open dialogue to happen on my channel. So I'm going to work on that and not do what I did so much in the past, because the past is gone and now is now. All right, so I wanted to Charles Unleashed, who a lot of times, and I'm going to go find the video really quick. a lot of times, he had a channel, and then I don't know what happened to one of his channels, but it's not not up as much anymore. See, and then it's gone. It's not up as much anymore. It's actually gone. What am I talking about? But he did a video. What is this? Okay, no, this is my watch later. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. And I wanted to share his commentary addressing this particular online community and what he said. And then also I want to bring up the fact too that that he actually sent me an email on my Tere Joyce and Not My Rabbit Hole email, which is connected to my website, and mentioned about how we got doxxed. And I'm not sure on the total details of what that's about yet, but I want to go here and do this. Now, recently, Charles had done a series of videos on Simon Says, and I may even show some of those because they're really clever. Simon Says, I'm talking. Well, we know who Simon Says is because we got to. I guess now he's like been trying to sue people, but he's the guy with the menstrual blood on the necktie and the sex altar, and the one who's been has been the alien cat queen lover. And the Buanon dispeller, the Buanon media that's been happening on the Asian and India cookie channels, right? But after this, and I don't know if it's related to it, but after this, he did this. It's called YouTube drama porn.
Now, as the title suggests, there is a reality behind this, but I need to do it. And then we'll get back to business as normal. So, everybody understand what I do here on the Charles channel. It's for a laugh. I'm not interested in monetizing. I'm not going to get drawn into fucking drama porn, and it really is drama porn. And my hope is that if it gives someone else a bit of a giggle too, then it's worth doing. That's all I'm about. And yet, there's an old game being brought back. And people are trying to draw me into it. I will not be drawn into it. Some of you know what I'm talking about here. Now, as per the last time this particular issue happened, it's been spearheaded by a couple of individuals who, to be quite honest, are complete fucking fruitcakes. And a few have shocked me as well, who I thought were my friends, been speaking to them for years, not anymore because personal correspondence has been passed around, and all because I'm not getting involved, going after people I really care about, causing division, and having them pointing the finger at me, along with a few others, and I've had the finger pointed at me by people I thought would never do that. Why? Out of resentment. Nah, I don't play those fucking games. Oh, and to top it, having failed to get me involved, guess what? You're going after good old Ben again, aren't you? After the, what, was it 3 years ago you did it the first time? Good luck with that. You want to get me to turn on Ben? Never going to happen. There's a few others who I won't mention because I don't have their permission. And horrible things have been done to people who don't deserve it. Recently. And again, I'm having the finger pointed at me out of fucking resentment. And yeah, I found your little hidden YouTube account attached to my subscribers that I didn't know was there. And that explains how the trolls have been getting in. And I got that fucking stupid message saying you think you know where I live over a fucking decade ago. Nice try. 1 out of 10. You don't know what I do in real life. I don't have time to go channel up in onto every fucking live stream that's going, playing this game. I don't have time to create these fucking fake accounts just for this drama porn, right? Not interested. Stop trying to fucking involve me. I'm too busy with something real. You know, did you forget that? There's a real world out there. And ladies and gentlemen who know what I'm talking about, this is a game. It's been going on for years. There's no reality to any of it. You don't want to go down with a ship, don't play it. You see, here's the difference between me and those two lunatics, right? They have got no empathy, whereas I care too much. Yeah, well, fuck you all. Maybe I should be more like Charles, eh? How about that? Guys, and that is generally speaking, internet land, you're on your own now. I'm not helping. Not in real life, at least, anymore. Get it through your fucking thick skulls after all these years. You're not getting to me. Not in that way. I'm not going to mention your names. I'm not going to mention where you are. You know who you are, and so do I, and I hope that a couple of people who are getting drawn into this right now just wake up to it. Or get out quick. Because when you think about it, the only thing in life that is worse than Charles coming after you is when Charles is not interested in you. There are people across this world lining up for the privilege, the honour of having it stamped on their tombstone. I was whacked by Charles, and you will never have that.
All right, so...
All right, folks, that's out of the way. We'll be back to normal schedule really soon.
All right, I wanted to share that with you, and maybe some of you don't know Charles. I want to go more specifically into his channel and just kind of point out before he made this video, let me see what you're seeing there. Before he made this video, his last video was about, it was called Simon Parts. Which is actually about, we know who it's about. So let's look at that for a minute. I just find it interesting that he's kind of getting a hard time after doing this video. I don't know if that's what's related to it. I want to point out something else too, a couple of things. One, also Steve Cambion had a person that is related to, it is Carrie Cassidy related, but they were wanting to report his channel in retaliation for some of the stuff that he's been reporting on, calling them out. I have, since we spoke, I've been a guest on Stephen Cambion's show concerning the Miles Johnston allegations. So that's unfolding. It just seems like some of us are being attacked. Like I said before, Charles sent me an email like, I don't know who doxed me, or I don't know more details, but he had made a contact before I saw this video from him. I also had an experience recently where somebody texted me on my cell phone, and they said, Terry, and then we had a conversation, and I said, how did you get my number? And they kind of, avoided the question. They red herringed me. Okay, they kept changing the topic. Oh, I lost my profile on Facebook. A lot of these people that do trolling, they seem to have multiple Facebook profiles, or there's a reason why they have another one, because they were locked out of the originally one because they forgot the password. It's pretty easy to recover your password on Facebook at this point. And if you don't have two-step authentication, or you don't have this backed up yet, well, I don't know why you don't. This particular person said, oh, we're both cancers. We're both spiritual people, which triggered me, meaning, oh, this is a UFO spook. Also, I had comments on, I'd done a video about Sarah Rachel Adams' allegations accusing me of rape, saying that I threatened to rape her because when she was blackmailing me, I retaliated and said, I will eat you for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. She cut that away, and said, oh, look, and tried to make it that it was a sexual comment when it was never meant to be sexual. And then she sent a series of emails to other media hosts, one of them being, ones that I'm on their show, all right, and trying to get them to do a show about me accusing her of rape. She also showed up in my chat on one of my shows and did the same thing, accused me right in my chat in front of the people that I have in my chat, and said she claims that one of her superpowers was being blunt. I didn't realize that, being blunt was a superpower. So I guess I have it too as well. Right. So, hey, so that's been going on. I also want to address one more thing that I kind of got sidetracked about, Sarah, and sidetracked about the Sean Atwood thing. But Sean Atwood did re-upload the interview of Tahinder Gill and Sandra DeRoy talking about the details of Max Spears' death. Again, Taj has not asked this question or clarified it for me. He was on that show with Sandra DeRoy, who on the first reporting with Miles Johnson and Carrie Cassidy came on that show and claimed that Max and Sarah were not in contact with each other, that he had no contact with her, right? And yet Sarah claims with the papers and the BBC that she was his fiance at the time, and that the cell phone that was damaged by water, the reason why it was damaged is because they were sexting in the bathtub. But how could that have really happened if they were not in a relationship with one another, like Sandra DeRoy says? So there's a conflict in that story. That cell phone falling in the water is the original excuse for the reason why they were not able to get the information that was on his mobile device. And then the SIM card was mailed back to Vanessa, scratched, and in the center of a book that was called About Human Sacrifice. That is true. It was sent back to her that way. But see, Taj, instead of answering that question to me, kind of terrorized me on Twitter and said, well, I don't owe you an explanation because you're a loser living in an RV with no future. So therefore, I'm not obligated to come clean on that. Well, I don't have the RV anymore. So, Taj, are you going to answer the question yet? And every time I ask it, he says, well, I already answered it in the Facebook group, with like 10 people in it. No, what I want, Taj, listen to me. What I want, and I've invited you, and I said it on Twitter, why don't you come on my show and talk about it? Why don't you come on my show and talk about it? Because this is where I'm talking about it. This is where I made the comments. If you want to come clean about the real details of the death of Max Spears and how it's possible that the cell phone fell in the bathwater if she wasn't his fiance and she wasn't dating with him and he was broken up. So who's telling the truth? Is it Sarah or is it Sandra DeRoy? It's pretty simple. It's pretty damn simple. And if you want to really think that, you think, oh, well, I'm going to insult you and ridicule you, and that's the reason why I don't have to answer anything. Well, I think you do. I think you do need to answer it. Because for you to just, brush it off like I'm not worth knowing this information. It's not just me. I think other people might want to know. Trust me, Sarah's not real popular right now amongst some hosts because they are also investigating and talking about her. Not just me. All right. It's going people who have more followers than I have been doing really good reporting and investigating on Sarah. And yet Sarah harasses me not only on my Instagram with disgusting pictures and Carissa Renteria. Not only has she done that, but she's also, falsely accused me of threatening to rape her. And I, as a content provider and a public personality, have the right on my channel to defend myself on it. Okay? And I'll tell you something else. You make up stories about somebody, that's a lawsuit. You can't just make up. When I talk about having media literacy and media integrity about what you're talking about, for you to go to my colleagues and try to discredit my character is lowball. It's not right. And I don't know, is it because I'm asking these questions that you have to do that? Because the only way that you guys can defend yourself is to insult me and to ruin my character? Well, you didn't ruin it. You're not going to ruin it because we're smarter than that. I think that there's something there in that. I don't like the fact that he could be on his show and sit there. And Taj was one of the biggest people with Sarah after Max died to tell the narrative of what happened surrounding his death. I want to hold them accountable. Did you tell the truth? What is the truth of the real circumstances? I see the point, he OD'd, he was an addict, blank, whatever. Other media hosts went around and said, discredit him, he wasn't really a super soldier. Is anybody really a super soldier? Really? Is anybody really what they say they are? And you know what? Max said that he didn't call himself a super soldier. That was a phrase that was coined by Miss Carrie Cassidy, who, I don't know. I don't think she has a degree in journalism. She calls herself a researcher, but she has a degree in film. Huge difference. However, still a part of creating the cultural paradigm. Okay, one more thing on Charles Unleashed. Steve Ronan, ha ha ha. That's fucked. CW Chanter, I kind of missed you. See. Raven! Gosh, welcome. She's using the tactic to try and deflect from what you're pointing out. Yes! They're all doing that. They're doing that. And we get it. We know what you're doing. We know we're witnessing it here. We're smart people. we're media literate. I like Charles. I like Charles too. And his videos make me laugh. All right, I really think that he makes really funny videos and he makes commentary on this world. So let's look at it before I go. Okay, I just want to make sure. You know who's not here tonight? Mark Sello. I just realized he's not here tonight. Let me make sure I shared the volume. I'm going to be anal for a second. Okay, let's play this.
Simple Simon. Say goodbye, man. You've been putting yourself about. Simple Simon knew Charles would catch up with him, and that's why his hair fell out. Simple Simon cheats on his wife, although she don't seem to mind. Yeah, I wonder why that is. Fortunately, no sane woman will touch him, so he settled for the feline kind. Simple Simon says he's a politician. No, he wasn't. That is the claim he has made. Actually, he was a volunteer, less important than the cleaning lady. And she's the one who gets paid. Simple Simon speaks to aliens and spirits. Something else he has said. It must be very confusing for Simple Simon, with all those voices inside his head. Not a photograph, not a video, no evidence he can show to you. But he has a nice set of penciled drawings, done badly, and that's the best he can do. Simple Simon charges lots of money for online consultations as a healer. You'd be better off throwing it away or getting some funny smoke from your dealer. One hand pointed at the screen, opening energy for your spiritual health. The other hand below his desk, opening something else, so he can diddle with himself. Now, whether you believe Simple Simon and give him money for his stories, that is your path to take. But let me tell you, he's been bothering a friend of mine, and that is a mistake he doesn't want to make. What? Who is it? Nah, it's fiction. Just a story. As credible as Simple Simon himself. And he don't exist, does he?
Okay, so I wanted to show that really quick for you guys. And, you know, it seems like after he did that video, he made the second video about weird stuff happening. So I kind of, my feeling is that some of us are getting weird stuff happening from talking about these things. So that's my feel. There's an element of drama and backlash happening. Another thing that I wanted to mention before the night's out, one of my guests here on Not My Rabbit Hole and also on Anchor, and I should have said it when I was on the Anchor so people could hear it, but maybe I'll just do an add-on when I upload the podcast on Anchor. But my guest TV from Wu-Tang, a second generation, there, in fact, Jason America being here too as well made me think about it. There was a shooting in Portland recently where two cousins of the Wu-Tang clan were murdered, and other people were shot as well. So I wanted to give my condolences and to acknowledge that here on the channel. So and I, you know, there's a few articles that are up about it. Let me see if I can pull up some information, just like what is 2 killed in shooting were rap artists tied to Wu-Tang Clan. Police confirmed that 2 members of hip hop group with ties. No, I don't want a subscription. Okay. Police have confirmed that 2 members, a hip hop group with ties to multi-platinum rap group Wu-Tang Clan, were fatally shot Tuesday in Portland, Oregon. Relatives on social media identified the rap artist killed as 12 o'clock and Murdoch of the Brooklyn Zoo. The Oregonian, Oregon Live reported Portland police in a news release identified the 2 men as David Turner, 45, and Odion Turner, 42, who are cousins. The Oregon State Medical Examiner determined both died from gunshot wounds and ruled their deaths a homicide, police said. The shooting happened at 5:30 a.m. Tuesday. 4 others were hurt in the shooting, including 1 person who remains hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. Police said Wednesday. Police said it took time to confirm whether the victim had been injured in this incident, so police didn't mention that victim on Tuesday. Young Dirty Bastard, the son of the late Wu-Tang rap legend, Old Dirty Bastard, in post to Instagram on Tuesday, wrote of his cousins. R.I.P. 12 o'clock, RIP, R.I.P. Murdoch. They were my father's tightest blood bonds. My 2 older cousins was just assassinated. Love you all, blood forever, Brooklyn Zoo. Police have released few details about the shooting. A home surveillance video provided to the Oregon Live appeared to capture nearly 20 gunshots and a car speeding away. Police said the investigation is ongoing. Their deaths mark the 57th and 58th homicides this year in Portland, which is more homicides than Portland recorded in all of 2020, police said. So I just want to give my condolences to TV and the Wu-Tang Clan for their loss, and wanted to make a mention here on my channel as well. And Jason America says RIP. And Old Dirty Bastard's cousins. So RIP to the Wu-Tang Clan. All right. It's about 12:44. Tomorrow is a school night. School day. Today is a school day. So I should probably try to get some sleep. But as usual, I want to thank you guys for being here. It's a pleasure to have you participate live with me on this live stream. And I just shout out to Jason America, Raven, TW, Steve Ronan, Bortega Verratti, Steve Ronan, Artie Chillin, Art of Moran. We also have, and some of you may not even be in the chat, but I can see that you're watching. IDK, thank you for being part of my show as well, and everything. And then KB hits bong. I just saw that. Let's put that. KB, did you hit the bong? God, good for you. And Eloquent88, thanks for being here. Good morning. Okay, KB also said, Tash, Sarah making money equals double barf barf is what my emoji message. Are they making money? Or is she just like, taking pictures of jaguars, that they have at the lot and go, do you mind if we photograph here? And then she's like, I'm making all this. I mean, I don't know. Are people that naive to believe med beds are real, or that, that it's worth it to get a psychic reading for $250? I don't know. She does have some diehard fans. Maybe they're supporting her, but I kind of find it hard to believe right now, but perhaps so. Come visit my ranch someday. Oh, I would love to. You're on a ranch now. I would love to visit your ranch. Yeah, maybe on spring break. Not spring break. What am I talking about? Maybe Christmas break. What's the next break? All right, I should go. I'm getting punchy. All right. Good night, you guys. And I'll see you next time.